So today, actually, before we get involved with the webinar, there's a subject that I keep repeating every time I see companies that want to pitch to me in various events, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to present it here today. So if I may, I'm going to share my screen and go into a little bit of a presentation, and then I'll leave some time at the end, so if people have any questions about it, I'll be happy to discuss it as well. So today I want to really discuss the relationship between the exit and your funding path. And I know I get a lot of questions about, oh, you know, we're looking for this kind of money, can you provide it to us, etc. And I asked the companies, well, tell me more about how much money you're going to need. And so this is the reason why I ask these questions, and I'd like people to understand sort of the background behind it. So first of all, a little bit of background about our group. We are one of the only angel groups in the world that invest exclusively in the life sciences. We were formed in 2012. We invest only in therapeutics, devices, diagnostics, and digital health. We meet and screen monthly, except in the summer. We are based in New York, but at this point, our membership has grown to be worldwide, and our investments are also worldwide. And I'll discuss the kind of investments we make, what we call angel-only opportunities, and the range, which is less than $25 million or so. And we, you know, each group, we approximately put in between $250,000 to $1 million per round. We have about 60 members, and we're growing at a nice pace. A lot of domain expertise. Many of our members work for pharma or consultants, or they're MDs, etc. They're all obviously accredited, and we have individual as well as corporate members. And we're very selective. Of every 100 applications that we receive, we invest in about 2 or fewer applications. So it's quite a process, and we're pretty selective in that. We invest as individuals, but also we've created internal funds that we call pools that are only for our members. And then we created this thing called a sidecar fund, which is a co-investment fund for people who either don't have the time or expertise to be members, but want to somehow co-invest with us. They can do so through the sidecar fund. In addition to apply or to be heard through us for funding, we have something called First Pitch Life Science, which is basically an event that we do now virtually on our, and we through Zoom, where companies can come in and pitch for feedback. And you can apply for either funding or to pitch for feedback on our website, bioangels.net. So remember that. Any questions, always go to the website. You'll find the answers there. So let's talk about investors and exits. Investors will only invest if they see a return on their investment, and that return will come in the form of an exit. This is the sort of a chart of exits. First of all, let's go from the bottom and go up. So lifestyle company means a company that you create, which you'll be providing with, you know, upon retirement to your children and their grandchildren, and nobody's going to buy them in the future. It could provide you and your family with a wonderful income, but there's not going to be an exit, and because of that, there's no interest for the investors. Other companies come to us and say, hey, you know, in about a year or so, we're going to start licensing out all of our applications to different companies, etc. However, if you think about it, you know, you're going to get a small upfront when you do a licensing deal, and then you have to wait as an investor for that licensee to commercialize this. And, you know, if successful, then you're going to get money down the road from royalties, which could take many, many years. So that risk and that low potential ROI and that very far away ROI make this a very limited interest thing for investors. So that brings us to the top two, which are IPOs and M&A. And everybody that I meet with says, oh, we're going to IPO in 2 years or whatever it is. But the problem is IPO windows, as many people know, sometimes are open and sometimes are closed, meaning at times the industry or the market is more open for companies to IPO, and at others they're not. They take a lot of money and other things to reach that stage. And the reality is, if you're doing something really, really attractive, somebody's going to buy you before you get too expensive. So our preference, and many other investors as well, but not exclusive, but this is, I'm talking about our preference especially, is for M&A. So why would somebody want to buy you? If you are the best solution, in an attractive market, which is an offensive play by the acquirer, or your solution is taking away market share from them because you're basically, the salespeople begin to complain that they're losing sales to you, or potentially could, or this acquirer is somebody who wants to enter in the market, or they want to lead the market and you have the right technology solution to do that. Or they think that they are the leader right now, but they don't want to give up that position. Again, a good reason why they'd want to buy you. And the timing of that acquisition, well, as soon as you have enough proof of any of the above, they'll want to buy you. If somebody wants to preempt somebody else from acquiring it, they want to be, the first to get you before there's a bidding war, or before somebody else gets their hand on you, then they'll do that. And definitely they want to buy you before you get too expensive by going public. Some companies are going to exit early and others will exit later. The ones who will exit early, most likely, are the ones that are addressing markets that are very attractive for those potential acquirers. And the solution is also very attractive for a number of reasons. If you could convince people, or it's easily implied that adoption is going to be easy, or that is going to be obvious, then people would want to acquire you early. And obviously, if it's very much differentiated. The later exits will most likely going to happen if you're one of those companies that are entering a competitive market where there are a lot of companies, a lot of solutions. The IP may not be as strong because, yours is just a little bit different from others, but you're very close. Maybe the regulatory path is complex for you. Maybe the trials are long. You just need a lot more data. So those are things that could potentially lead to a later exit. And in life science, we sort of divide things into two, the therapeutics and then the all else for us, the device diagnostics and digital health. In therapeutics, you need to show either preclinical or clinical data. The more attractive area you're in, you'll have to show less data and you might be able to exit earlier. So the question is always how much data and at what phase you can exit. For devices, diagnostic, digital health, you're going to have to show some market traction. You're going to have to show that there is adoption. And the question is how much of that adoption. You'll probably need regulatory approval in at least the US or EU to show that you are able to sell that product in that market. You have to prove manufacturing and the fact that it can be made inexpensively, made well, consistently, and inexpensively once you grow in terms of manufacturing, and it can be scaled up so that it's not just the one-offs. And then you'll have to create a whole organization structure for all of that. It means a sales force and all that kind of stuff, which costs money, takes time. So what I want people to take away from this is you should figure out where you fit. Are you an early differentiated company in an attractive market, attractive field, or are you more of a late entrant in a crowded field with something that is just incrementally better? Is your IP very broad or is it narrow? How are the comps showing you? In terms of the M&A, are most comps or most companies like yours acquired early in earlier stages, or are they acquired at late stages? So these are the kind of things that you need to find out. So speak to potential acquirers early. The earlier, the better. You don't have to give them confidential information, but find out from them what would they require from you at the minimum in terms of data and stage, etc., before they would consider an acquisition, and then add a margin to it because they're always going to come back to you and ask for more, right? And then figure out the cost to create all that proof in terms of adoption, data, etc., and again, with some margin. And then from that, how much will all that take in terms of time? And look at the comps in terms of dollars and stages for the exits. From that, you want to create your financial path to exit. Figure out the milestones, the time, and the dollars to exit. What's the total amount that you will need? And then figure out the milestones, which are inflection points, right, where your valuation will grow, and potentially where you could potentially exit, and the size of each round. Now, all of this is why? Because there are different sources of money. VCs and angels are two of the main sources that you would encounter, but they are very different funding sources. So VCs create large funds, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. When you have that size of a fund, you deploy money in large amounts, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. The funds have a limited life, and it's important to understand that, because the end, when the fund closes, after its usually 10-year life, they will want to liquidate anything that's still open, which means if you're not done yet, if you're not at an exit, they will force an exit, because the next point is VCs have controlling interest in your company, and most would invest actually at a later stage. And, you know, for us, the difference is that they dilute early investors very much and take liquidation preferences, which means they would get paid before even you get paid and other investors get paid. In contrast, angels invest as individuals or funds, because sometimes we have both. We put in anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million per round per group, and we like to invest together in what we call a syndicated round. And in life sciences, those rounds are usually around $5 million. And we've seen companies raise maybe 4 or 5 syndicated rounds in different milestones, up to $20 or $25 million in this field. We don't have expiration in terms of time on our fund, and we don't have controlling interest in your company. So nobody can force you to sell at any specific time, and you keep control of your company at the entire stage. So whenever I meet with companies and they say we need some funding to get to an exit, my question is, how much will you need in total to reach that exit? And this is why I ask that question. So thank you so much for the opportunity to present, and I would be happy to answer any questions at this point.